LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, you so know that. It never has, it never will, and that's just kind of the way that the world works on who the host is here. What has always been the most important part of this sequence of events is who the listeners are, and in some case, the viewers. So there you go. Anyways, we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida on this lovely Tuesday, May the 23rd of 2023, day 143 of the year, and only 222 days left to go. See, this is where that confusing part happens to a lot of people. But I thought June was the midpoint. No, June's not the midpoint, just so you know. So we still got some days before everything's done. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on as we are broadcasting from the multiverse here, coming across all that weird stuff that we do. And we're hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place.
Radio Big. USA, Canada, UK.
Oh, yes. You know how it is, hanging out with our friends at RadioBig.fm, coming on the iHeart Radio side of the house. Just a little FYI action. You can take a listen to the streamer Emer as we're doing stuff. By the way, as I'm talking about the streamer Emer, you might know that we're on some of the video sequencing. Last night I was playing with Rumble. Yeah, Rumble, because people have told me that I should go over there. So I went ahead and put yesterday's show on there. And it will look like we'll have to get some people in there as we will start broadcasting live over on Rumble, if you want to see it over there. And listen, we put it all on different social media platforms. But here's the gig as we do it. If you do the chat boxes over there, I'm terrible at that. If you pay attention, I don't pay attention to any of it. But if you go directly to Call In Radio, click on Call In Radio, and that will get you right into our little system, and we'll get everything moving. It's kind of the easiest way to do it, just for FYI purposes. I just don't, I always hate when I leave people what I would consider out of the mix, because I want you in the mix, but that's the deal. That's the dealio. So just keep that in mind. If you want to make sure that you have direct interaction, callinradio.com. Also, you can take a listen and view of us on the different visual aspects. But if you want to do it directly from our website, safetyfm.com, click on the section that says Visual Radio, or click on Radio Big /visual radio, and that'll get everything moving and grooving for you. So anyways, we're going to be talking about all kinds of fun stuff. Don't forget, potential 3-day weekend coming up for you, and you can make it a 4 depending if you take Friday off. Maybe you do a Friday liquid lunch. You know what I'm talking about when I say liquid lunch? You only have liquids for lunch. Some people tend to have other liquids that make you feel a little, different for lunch. And you can do that, and that could be some good times, depending on what you have going on. Anyways, with that being said, why don't we talk about what is on the trends and what's on tap today?
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so taking a look around on the tap for today, a girl in Massachusetts jumped into action to save her twin brother, and a software developer swaps blood with his son to feel more youthful. Oh, how nice is that? Beyonce and Jay-Z paid for their new mansion. We don't have to talk about that. Carmelo Anthony announces his retirement from the NBA. A lot of people were interested about that. Keep in mind, this is hour 1 of 3, so we'll talk about some of this stuff throughout the different sequences of the hour. Vin Diesel says that there will be more Fast and Furious projects, and Natalie Portman would love to reprise her role as Queen Amidala in Star Wars. We'll talk about some stuff that's going on inside of the world of safety, the industry itself, which apparently some people were pissed off yesterday about me saying you're not the future of safety, which, if you think about it in context, yeah, because I'm trying to get people to live in the present. I just get so bored with, you have so much promise. of what the future will bring. Well, let's do now. Let's do now. Let's not be the future. Let's do the thing ahora. Let's do the thing ahora. That whole potential thing. You have so much potential. Yeah, I got potential, all right. So anyway, so that's it. That's being said. So if you're not familiar with our show, we talk about safety in the news and safety. And that's what we cover, the gamut. We go from making people happy to pissing some people off, and this is kind of the way that it goes as we are talking and barking and doing all the fun stuff. So there you go. There you go. A lot of things going on inside of the world. So with that being said, let's do this. Why don't we bring in some profesionales? Yes, that would be the professional broadcasters on the side of the house where they talk about everything professionally, where I'm just kind of a jackass when I go around and talk about stuff. It's kind of the way that it goes. So we'll bring in the professional broadcasters. They'll do their thing, and then we get to do our thing, and then we move forward. What do you think? I think that's the way the sequence should go. So I'll sit back, relax, let the pros do their thing. We'll talk, we'll come back, do the main story, and all that kind of fun stuff, and I'll let you know what's going on inside of the world of the multiverse. Also, in case you forgot, you can take a listen to us on the Safety FM app and the Radio Big app, which is readily available for you. But before we do that, let's get you into the news. No, seriously.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Mark Mayfield. Former President Trump will make a virtual appearance today in a Manhattan court in his criminal fraud case. Trump has pleaded not guilty to more than 30 counts of falsifying business records. His appearance is scheduled to make sure he understands he's not allowed to share any evidence shared by the district attorney on social media. President Biden says the latest debt ceiling talks with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy were productive. Brian Shook reports.
In his statement, Biden noted that Monday's meeting at the White House was about the need to prevent default and avoid a catastrophe for our economy. While there are areas of disagreement, he said leaders and staff will continue to discuss the path toward a bipartisan deal. After the meeting, McCarthy also labeled talks as productive. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has repeatedly warned that the U.S. could go into default if the debt ceiling isn't raised by June 1st. I'm Brian Shook.
The bill banning abortions in Nebraska at 12 weeks and gender transitioning medical treatment for minors is now law. Republican Governor Pillen signed the bill at the state capitol on Monday. The abortion restrictions include exceptions for rape, incest, and medical emergencies. Opponents say lawsuits will be filed immediately against the bill. Hyundai and Kia have settled a $200 million class action lawsuit over car thefts. Lisa Taylor explains.
The automakers have agreed to pay vehicle owners over claims that many of the automakers' cars and SUVs are too easy to steal because of a software defect. Owners are getting security software updates and reimbursement for losses. The settlement will be distributed to about 9 million owners. I'm Lisa Taylor.
And a new search for a British girl who has been missing for 16 years is set to get underway in Portugal. According to local media, German police will begin to search a remote reservoir in Portugal today for Madeleine McCann. She was 3 years old when she disappeared on a family vacation in Portugal in 2007. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Safety never sounded so terrible. Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Republicans say the tone of the latest debt ceiling talks with the president was better than ever, but there's no deal yet. Police investigating the disappearance of Madeleine McCann are beginning searches at a reservoir in Portugal. Fresh doctor strikes have been announced in England, and after days of fragile peace, violence has once again flared up in India's northeastern state of Manipur.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
The White House is threatening to veto a Republican-led measure that would scrap the Biden administration's student loan forgiveness program. Trey Thomas reports.
The House is expected to vote this week on a resolution to overturn the program that would provide up to $20,000 in relief for millions of eligible student loan borrowers. The White House said the move would deprive hardworking Americans of much-needed student debt relief. I'm Trey Thomas.
The driver of a U-Haul truck that crashed through security barriers across the street from the White House is in custody. Officials say the incident happened late Monday night around Lafayette Square. There were no injuries to any Secret Service or White House personnel. It's unclear if the crash was intentional, but the cause is under investigation. The NAACP is warning African Americans to stay away from Florida. Michael Kastner explains.
Over the weekend, the advocacy group issued a formal travel advisory for the state. The organization cites what it calls the governor's aggressive attempts to erase black history and to restrict DEI programs in Florida schools. The NAACP also says Florida is openly hostile toward African Americans, people of color, and LGBTQ+ individuals. I'm Michael Kastner.
TikTok is suing Montana over its new law banning the app. The law prohibits Chinese-owned TikTok from operating in the state and doesn't allow residents to download the app to their phones. The governor said there are legitimate spying issues involved and that the federal government has already banned the app from official phones. Lawyers for TikTok say the Montana law violates the First Amendment. And NFL legend Tom Brady is one step closer to owning a part of the Las Vegas Raiders. Reports say Brady's purchase of a stake in the team from owner Mark Davis has been agreed to and sent to the league for approval. Brady also recently bought a share of the WNBA's Las Vegas Aces, also owned by Davis. Brady announced his retirement in February after playing 23 seasons in the NFL and winning 7 Super Bowls. He's set to debut as the lead NFL analyst for Fox in 2024. Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobile.io. That's mobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute? When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you. You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class, let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow, awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Hey, are you tired of hanging around and talking about safety in a boring kind of format? Well, I got something for you. If you haven't hung out with us yet at safetyfm.com, I'm going to encourage you to do so. Yeah, if you come out to Safety FM, you can come hang out with all kinds of safety professionals. Some are safety professionals, some are just people that are talking about safety. But we want to do it in a format that makes it fun and entertaining. If you're kind of trying to figure out what the FM portion is, well, we're a radio station and also a podcast Network. You can come out, hang out, and listen to my show, The Jay Allen Show. You can listen to Todd Conklin with the pre-accident investigation, Blaine J. Hoffman with the Safety Pro, the Hop Nerd, Sam Goodman, just to name a few on what can be found on the station. Different things for different people, trying to bring safety in an entertaining form. SafetyFM.com. Go to the website, download the app, and carry it with you all day long. SafetyFM.com. We'll be waiting for you.
You are listening to a radio god. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a radio god. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, there you go. 17 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday, second day of the week. Depending if you're only counting the Monday through Friday aspect. Yeah, think about that for a second. So a lot of stuff going on as we are talking, moving and grooving, and let's get into the shit list because we need to do that. Robotics and artificial intelligence expert Ronnie Brooks, yes, Ronnie Brooks, says that people are vastly overestimating the capabilities and potential of programs like ChatGPT. Brooks is the former director of AI research program at MIT and has worked with 3 different startup companies in the robotics and computing sector. Brooks says that the large language models used to create chatbots make it look and sound like the responses have been reasoned just like humans would go through the questions, when in reality the output is just designed to look like the result is complex problem solving. Brooks says that while the bots answer questions confidentially, half of the time they're totally wrong. What the large language models are good at saying is what the answer should sound like, and which is different from what the answer should be, he says, adding that it just makes stuff sound good. This is via IEEE Spectrum. Now, if you've been hanging out listening to Safety Wars, Jim Poles over the last little bit has really been obsessed, and I am using the word obsessed because it is what it is, in regards of AI technology. Apparently, he stuck his voice recently inside of one of these systems and was really surprised on the output that he got back. And he played it back for his wife, and she even referenced that he sounded richer that day, but she did not realize until he told her that it was all AI related. So there you go. It makes it a little bit more interesting when you're even tricking your wife that she didn't even realize that's what the hell was going on. So there you go. Anyways, and I'm not saying anything that Polo hasn't talked about on his show. So there you go. Anyways, let's continue talking. The European Union has slapped Meta with a massive 1.3 billion fine for sending users or data to the United States for aggregation and processing. Yes, that's what I said. The company can't just keep it up the practice and pay the penalty. Either they have been ordered to stop the practice within 5 months. The fine beats the previous record of privacy violation that had been slapped onto Amazon back in 2021, amounting to $844 million. This is via Bloomberg, just so you know, where we're pulling the data from. So the data, I tell you, even though people think that I'm joking, we try to make sure we pull as much information as possible so you don't have to do shit besides sit back, take a listen, and see what the hell's going on. So there you go. Anyways, a 12-year-old quick thinking may have saved his twin brother. Amelia Loverman of Massachusetts was eating lunch with her classmate and twin brother Charlie when he started choking on a piece of cheese. A piece of cheese? Really? While the other backed away to ensure of what to do, Amelia jumped into action and started performing the Heimlich maneuver. I just knew that it needed help. I needed to help him, so to try to help him. So Amelia told Good Morning America about the ordeal. After just a few thrusts, Charlie was able to pull the cheese out of his mouth. This is stuff that you hope and pray never happens, even as it happens to one of your children. The twins' mom said, "Kids need to pay attention and look out for another." I'm just grateful that Amelia was there. This is all coming via Good Morning America. Where else the hell would it be coming from? I just told you what I was where they were on.
Duh.
So there you go. So let's continue talking. Take a listen to this. Brian Johnson, a 45-year-old software developer, has enlisted his teenager son, Talmadge, to be part of his plan to be forever youthful. According to Bloomberg, Brian in Talmadge, the Brian 70-year-old father, Richard, spent hours hooked up to a machine in a clinic near Dallas last month for a tri-generational blood swapping treatment. During the procedure, a liter of Talmadge blood was converted into a batch of plasma, a batch of red blood cells, and batch of, the different pallets that are available inside of there. Johnson, who was also had a liter of blood taken away, has given Talmadge plasma, while his plasma went into Richard. In addition to the bizarre procedure, Brian also sticks to rigorous routine that includes 24 supplements, an hour of exercise a day, a low-calorie vegan diet, a calculated manner in which he brushes his teeth and wears blue light blocking glasses for 2 hours at bedtime. He also has a machine that is hooked up while sleeping that counts the number of erections he has throughout the night. Just telling you what it says here. By doing all the above, Brian said that he has the heart of a 37-year-old and a skin of a 28-year-old. This is according to Bloomberg. So take a listen to this real quick. So if they're doing all this, what is the purpose? What is this life for? I mean, this sounds like a lot of shit that you're going through in regards to live longer. Now, I don't know if you know this, but there was a trend going on in Hollywood for a very short period of time, but still a trend, where people were taking younger people's blood and doing transfusions for they could actually have a younger person's blood go through their system. Yep, not a joke. I would love to say that I'm kidding, and I would love to say allegedly, but that was a big hoopla that was going on a couple of years back. What do you think about this? Is this something that you would give some consideration to be tri-generational blood swapping? And do you want the older person's blood inside of your system if you're the younger one? I mean, I'm just asking the question. So there you go. So if you want to find out more about this, to read about Brian's goals, check out the blog post that he wrote for his blog that was called Project Blueprint. Yep, Project Blueprint. It'll tell you all about it and make you question about things about life. There is no doubt about that. Anyways, a book 96 years overdue was returned to the St. Helens Public Library in Northern California last week. We didn't realize quite how old it was. It was falling apart, director Chris Crichton told CBS outlet KMBC News. While carefully inspecting the book, which was published back in 1892, Crichton found a note reading the book may be kept for 2 weeks, and to check it out date was 1927. As you were aware, most libraries have done away with the overdue fines, which in this case is a blessing, as an estimated $1,700 late fee had been accumulated. By the way, the book was a history of the United States by Benson Lossing. So let me ask a strange question here. Who actually returned the book? Because that really wasn't said during the story. I mean, that would be an interesting one. And would you, if they were going to do it, would you have to pay the fine? I mean, I just don't know. Anyways, a couple of weird things yesterday. Let me tell you about this. Are you familiar with actor Ray Stevenson? Well, he passed away on Sunday, according to a statement from his rep. No other details were shared. Stevenson is best known for his roles in Thor and Star Wars franchise. He was 58. And if I remember correctly, his character in the show called Dexter was Ivan. Yeah. So I don't know. It was just weird seeing that. Also, some other news going on yesterday. Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez are engaged. According to multiple outlets, the billionaire popped the question while the two were sailing around in Europe on his $500 million super yacht. The pair have been dating since 2019 after Bezos divorced his wife of 24 years, Mackenzie Bezos. He is 59 and she is 53. So there you go. Good luck for you. I mean, there you go. Congratulations. That's what I meant to say. Anyways, with that being said, why don't we just talk about money? Because I think that's what we should talk about next. Let's bring in some John Smalls, talk about the market beat.
Here's your market beat minute for Tuesday, May 23rd, brought to you by GenesisGoldIRA.com. Equity markets traded in a tight range Monday as investors brace for the next PCE inflation report. That's due Friday and is not expected to give the Fed or the market a reprieve. The index may cool at the headline level compared to last year, but the month-to-month figure is expected to accelerate 2.4%, and core inflation will remain steady at 4.6%. This may give the Fed room to pause, but does not signal the need for rates to fall. This week brings another round of earnings from the retail sector. Lowe's kicks it off today and may leave the market wanting more. Signals of shifting spending habits have cut into discretionary spending, and competitor Home Depot did not inspire confidence for 2023. As it is, the consensus estimates for this year's earnings continue to deteriorate, which is a dead weight for the S&P 500. You can get the inside track at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, John Smalls, for the information on what is going on inside of the multiverse. Let me tell you what I was able to find on my side of the equation. The Dow lost about 140 points to close at 33,286 on Monday. The S&P was up about 6.65 points to close at 4,192. The Nasdaq added about 62 points to close at 12,720. West Texas Intermediate closed at $71 a barrel, and Brent crude was at $75 a barrel. The national average price of a gallon of gas was $3.54 on Monday. Bitcoin ticked up about 0.67%, trading just at $27,000, just right on that under part. And there was more than 3,560 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Monday, with about 80 cancellations. Also, tonight's Mega Million drawing will be for a $150 million jackpot, or a $77.2 million payout. So if you want to play the game, you have the opportunity to do so. So there you go. There you go. There you go. So a lot of stuff going on inside of that part as we are talking. So there you go. Anyways, let's continue looking around inside of the world. A man is behind bars and suspicious of driving a car into a house in Lake Forest, California, then getting out and chasing people around. The neighborhood describes it as total chaos.
Gardner came up to the door. He was panicking, said somebody was chasing him with an axe. And we came outside and we heard yelling at the house. It sounded like somebody was being tortured.
Yeah, I would imagine. Police say that on Monday, the man crashed into the house and then ran down the street with a pickaxe to a different house. Surveillance video shows him breaking the door down with a weapon while the person was locked inside, screaming for help. Investigators say that he had temporarily staying at the house, then tried to attack his roommate. Police took the man into custody, bringing him down with a less than lethal rounds. What the hell is a less than lethal rounds? And no one was seriously hurt. Investigators believe that the man was under the influence of some kind of drug. Well, one is sure as shit would hope so, that you're not just going around and pickaxing people, because that just doesn't sound like any kind of fun. Anyways, coming out of San Diego, an 8-year-old Douglas Badger who's sexual... Hold on. 80-year-old. Yes, that there is a huge difference there. 80-year-old Douglas Badger, whose sexually violent crimes spanned 5 decades, is expected to be located and supervised home in San Diego, far east county of Borrego Springs. That's about 90 miles out from downtown San Diego. Sheriff's Badger is expected to undergo treatment, be monitored by GPS, and prohibited from leaving his residence without supervision. Sarah Thompson, with Kids Safe, says the community is upset.
You're having to pay for them to live there, and you're paying for them to be living next to you, and you don't get a say in it. You don't get a say in your property value, who's your new neighbor is. You don't even know the full details of what these men have, the crimes they've committed, because it's all hush-hush.
Yeah, Badger is diagnosed with sexual sadism disorder between 1959 and 1991. He was convicted for multiple offenses, including child molestation, kidnapping, and forcible oral copulation. These crimes occurred in Los Angeles, Orange, Riverside, and San Diego counties. So there you go. A lot of weird stuff going on right there. There is no doubt about that. How do you handle that? I don't know. That's the question that she does bring up, and I don't blame her, because there's a lot of stuff. Anyways, take a listen to this. Final approval has been given for the new red flag law in Michigan, with the significant Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
With extreme risk protection orders, we have a mechanism to step in and save lives. Extreme risk protection orders also will reduce suicides.
Michigan became the the second state in a week after Minnesota to enact a law to keep guns away from people deemed to be at risk of hurting themselves or others. Whitmer signed the legislation Monday just outside of Detroit, surrounded by people impacted by violence, including former Arizona Congresswoman Gabby Giffords. She survived an assassination attempt back in 2011 when she was shot in the head in Tucson. Governor Gretchen Whitmer says Michigan became the 21st state in the country to enact the extreme risk protection orders.
States that are surprising to some, like Indiana and Florida, they're reducing firearm suicide rate by 7.5% in Indiana alone, as one example.
So what do you think about it? It does kind of make you question some things. Do you think that this should be enacted more across the country? I mean, I don't know. I ask all kinds of questions when it comes to that, because here's the thing. Is it something that you take a look at and go, yes, there is value in bringing this? Or do you look at it as, oh, you're violating my rights? You know, I'm just asking of gun control. I mean, I'm just asking the question. It just seems like it's something that people would ask. What do you think? I don't know. Think about it for a moment. Seriously.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
So a lot of stuff. It is 32 minutes past top of the hour. So what does that mean? Well, you know what it means. It's time to do that thing that we do right around now. Yep. That thing, the thing you do. Yes, the thing you do. If I can find it. Where did it go? Did it go hiding? I think it's hiding now. I can't help it. What am I going to do? No, I'm joking. Here, take a listen.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
You know, there's nothing better than to sit back for a moment and talk about a main story. There is nothing better than to talk about what the hell is going on inside of our world, inside of our industry, and inside of what is happening, not sometimes, but all the time, inside of the places that we work. And my question for a long period of time has been the question that drives the question, if I may, the question behind the question, if one may say so. What's happening when nothing is happening inside of your organization? Think about it for a moment, because it is such a good question to ask. When nothing is being reported, when nothing is going on, what are you looking at? Because listen, we all sit back at some period of time and we want these things to occur, that we have this magical system that says, okay, prediction is here. This is what's going to happen next. Now think about it for a moment. Think about it if you look at Heinrich's model in regards of what is going on, 329.1. Could you imagine how great that would be? So you go, okay, hold on. We've had 300 minors that has occurred so far. So we know that something big's about to happen, so let's stop what we're doing before we can prevent it. Now, wouldn't that be great? But unfortunately, that's not really how it works. If it was the case, man, we would both be rich in regards to doing that. And when I say both, because it's just you and me here. But if you take a look at it from the other side, where you go, what's happening when nothing's happening? How does that make you feel? And yeah, I know that I asked that feelings question there. But think about it. If no one's telling you what's going on inside of the system, what's going on? And more than likely, if you sit back and you were to take a look around, not an audit, but a validation and a verification of what's happening, you would realize immediately that normal work is going on. And you would also realize immediately that the people that are the best in your system are probably also the people that's been there the longest and also have the highest failure rates. And you're probably sitting there going, what? Yes, because they understand how to work your system better than anyone else. And we can talk about performance modes. It's a fun thing to talk about. It's kind of a long spiel, but it is something fun to talk about in regards of what is going on inside of the system. So when you look back and you look at normal work, What do you look for? And a few days ago, I was talking with someone, and it's amazing on how important words are. You know that when you're auditing something, it's because you're looking for something that is wrong. You are looking for something to correct. But if you're doing a verification and validation process, which, let's think about it, sounds very similar to an extent, you're looking for the things that are good. Why is it when you tell someone, I'm having an audit done today, the words are like, oh shit, I don't want that. I don't want an audit. But if you're doing verification and validation, it doesn't sound so bad. It's a little bit longer, longer to say. But boy, does it have a different impact. But what are you looking for? And that's been the thing. Doing verifications and validations. I'll tell you, I was able to walk one of the most beautiful facilities that I have seen in a long time last week. And that was the thing. It was doing verification and validation in regards to what was going on. And it wasn't auditing, because that was the thing. Now, don't get me wrong, going around wearing PPE and all that kind of fun stuff, always a fun time when people are looking at you going, what the hell's going on? Because the moment that they see you, you have the hard hat on, and depending on how well they know the system, they know that the colors mean something different in regards to the hat. I personally like to wear my black hat, but I was asked not to, of course. And that's the thing. As you're going through these, you already have people kind of weirded out that you're there, regardless of where you stand inside of the system. And all you're doing is looking for the normal work. So what does the normal work process look like inside of your organization? And when you're looking at that normal work, what's happening? Seriously, when nothing is happening. Can you honestly answer that? Wouldn't that make you think of something?
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that mommy and daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California.
Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
The sun is dawning on a new day. The open road is what we came for. We feel the rush of blood in our veins. We can have it all, we can find more. And I know we're only waiting for the sun to show me. And all these dreams we have are ready for reality. We don't know, we don't care how we got here, but we won't stand still. It's time to go.
Oh, yes. Hour number 1 of the Jay Allen in the Morning Show, still referred to as the Rated R Safety Show. Yeah, still hanging out on Radio Big and Safety FM. We are still coming to you from the Safety FM studios in Orlando. How's that going to change? What was I going to do? Change spots midpoint? Anyways, this little song right here. This is On Top of the World by Tiger Run. Songs readily available Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music. I'd like to thank Tiger Run for this one. You know, I love all this music. I really do. I just can't ever get enough of it. Give me more music. Yep. You know, it's the way that I see it is that, you know, music has always been there for me. Regardless of what the hell's going on inside of my world, music is always there. Yep. She's the companion. She's always there regardless of what's going on in my lifetime. Something I can always turn to. You know, it's just amazing the mood setting that thing can give you. Just think about that. Anyways, let me get off my music train here. We'd like to thank Tiger Run for On Top of the World for allowing us to play it here on the Rated R Safety Show. And let's get into it. Let's start talking about some things that are going on inside of the multiverse, multiplex, and multi-whatever you want to name it. But I need to tell you some stuff real quick about the most important thing, as I hit the mic, inside of my lifetime. And that's at my friends at twloha.com. That's to write love on her arms, just in case we were not sure. And, you know, it's about being able to find help. Because no matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help. You really do. I mean, I want you to think about it. And their website is one of the easiest things to use. All you have to do is go to twloha.com. On the very far right-hand side, there's a section that says Find Help. It's a giant blue button. You're not going to miss it. You click on it, and it will take you to the page of resources. It will tell you about the different things that they're able to help you with. You name it, they have it. And if that's not what exactly you're looking for, there is a list of immediate help that's available throughout, letting you know how you're not alone. Everything from the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number to Trans Lifeline to the Trevor Project and many more. So if you want to find out more information or if you're looking for help immediately, TWLOHA.com. That's To Write Love on Her Arms. I will tell you, if you run into me on the road and I'm walking around and doing my thing, I always have these bracelets on. If you're watching the video, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's all the stuff that I've talked about for years here. And it's kind of an ongoing thing. Yeah, I might be an asshole from sometimes. Don't get me wrong. I do know that. But this is a subject that I know that is so important to talk about in regards of being able to find help when you need it. TWLOHA.com. So there you go. So let's talk real quick. I got some stuff that I want to share with you, and I can share it here. We're going to have an official post at some point today. But for quite some time, I've been wanting to bring some new shows to our lovely network. And it's not for, I guess I shouldn't say for some time. I'm constantly looking for new shows for us to be able to hang out and do stuff. And tomorrow is one of those days where we get to talk about new stuff coming to the network. We haven't announced it. I'll have a formal memo out at some point today in regards of it. But if you have lived in this hop world of ours, you will know that there are voices that have been around for some time. There are some voices that have been around in regards of talking about what we do. And listen, I will tell you, these have been ongoing conversations for some time to get this done. And I am glad that this has finally occurred. But starting tomorrow on our little lovely network of things, you will be able to listen to a new podcast. And if you're into the hop scene, you'll like this one. It's called A Hop Podcast with No Name. And let me tell you who the people are. If you take a look around, if you're on the streamer watching the video stream, yeah, this is the podcast without the name, with no name, or excuse me, a hot podcast with no name. Let me say it correctly. And these are going to be the host, Andrea Baker and Matt Florio. So there you go. They will be hosting this new podcast. They will actually have quite a big drop coming out tomorrow, just so you know. So you'll be able to take a listen to this on Safety FM. We'll have a link to it directly on safetyfm.com in regards of this new podcast that will be available on the different platformers starting tomorrow. A hot podcast with no name. We are super excited to have them joining our network of things that we have going on. So if you're into podcasts and you want to take a listen to stuff, starting tomorrow, a hot podcast with no name will be readily available for you to take a listen of what the hell's going on. So be on the lookout right there, because it's going to be a fun time as we are going through the sequence. There is no doubt about that. Anyways, let's get you into some news real quick about some other things that are going on inside of the worldo, because we definitely need to talk about that. The next time you accidentally let a spoiler slip about a show or a movie, just explain to your disappointed friend that it's okay because of science. Yeshiva University psychology professor Annalisa Cohen wrote a study by her and others published Applied Cognitive Psychology. The researchers showed that the Alfred Hitchcock TV episode called Bang, You're Dead to two groups of people. One group was clueless about the things how they would turn out, and the others were told what happens. It turns out that knowing the ending didn't stop the people from becoming fully engrossed in the story and enjoying it. And according to her, we are still just as likely to get caught up in a story, even when you know that what's coming, because we are still drawn into the character's story and essentially hitched our mental state to theirs. So there you go. Fine, then. I'll just say, spoiler alert, Fast X is dumb. I'm just joking. I haven't seen it, but it sounded something good to say. And maybe so, but if you don't dare to tell me who won the big game, then I'd be PVR'd. I PVR'd it. You get it? You get it? PVR'd it. If you don't, look it up. You might understand it better. No, seriously.
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a face for radio. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so take a listen to this. The Secret Service says a vehicle crash near the White House may have been intentional. Michael Kastner has some more details.
Officers detained a U-Haul driver last night after the truck slammed into security barriers on the north side of Lafayette Square. According to U.S. Park Police, he was arrested on multiple charges, including threatening to kill, kidnap, or harm a president, vice president, or family member. While no one was hurt during the chaotic incident, nearby hotels were evacuated to ensure there were no explosives that could pose a threat. I'm Michael Kastner.
Okay, thank you, Michael Kastner, for the information. Take a listen to this. Iowa is at an elevated risk to see rolling power blackouts, and it's an extreme heat wave this summer. But local power companies say there's nothing to be worried about. Take a listen.
Customers in Mid-American's service territory have little to worry about. We have every intention of continuing to reliably serve customers' needs this summer.
Tina Hoffman from Mid-American Energy says they will continue to monitor the resource and will communicate with customers if anything changes. Well, I hope so. The National Weather Service says that Iowa has equal chances to see above or below normal temperatures this summer. Tina Hoffman says that it is unlikely the event that an extreme heat wave does put a strain in the power grid. Companies like Mid-American have several ways to avoid rolling blackouts.
The report that came out this summer indicates that we're in a better position than last summer. In our service territory, we didn't experience rolling blackouts, didn't get to that point. Customers should not be panicked in any way. We're here and ready to serve their energy needs.
Yes, don't panic unless the power goes out, then panic. Is that what we're saying? It sounds like it. Anyways, let's bring in some John Smalls. Let him tell us about what the hell's going on with the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Troy. Bo Bennett said, "Success is not what you have, but who you are." So very true. If you count success by looking at a bank account, I think you're looking at the wrong thing. And apparently, Bo Bennett thinks so as well. There are so many other more important measurements of success and failure. I've been honored to know people who don't have much in the wealth department, but they love what they do. They give back to their community, and they give many others an opportunity to work with them. I think all of those things are a great measurement of success. It's your character and who you are. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by AlysaMorgan.com. As stated by Orson Welles, my doctor told me to stop intimate dinners for 4, unless there are 3 other people. Despite the overwhelming amount of confusing information about diets, nutrition can be relatively simple when it boils down to a few basic rules. Don't eat too many calories or too few. Consume sufficient protein and essential fats. Obtain vitamins and minerals you need. And avoid pathogens like E. coli and toxins like mercury and lead. Beyond that, we know relatively little with complete certainty. And the most important data is the one you obtain after figuring out what works for your body and your goals, and just as important, something you can stick to on a regular basis. For more information on wellness, check out AlysaMorgan.com.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, it doesn't matter who the host is.
I guess we needed to know who the host was one more time because I had forgotten since we started this thing. Anyway, it's currently 55 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out doing all the lovely things that we get to do. So don't worry about that as we are hanging out and doing our thingo. But we are coming close to the end here. So do you know what that means? That means we need to talk, and we need to talk quick to make sure that we get everything to you. So let's talk about some things that happened back on this date, because that's going to be important. So as I take a look around, let's see, back in 1980, The Shining is released based on Stephen King's book of the same name. The horror flick follows a family who heads to an isolated hotel for the winter. The sinister president influenced the father, played by Jack Nicholson, pursuing him into violence. Meanwhile, his psychic son sees glimpses of the past and future. The movie grossed about $622,000 in its opening weekend. So there you go. Anyways, if you're looking at some birthdays for today, let's talk about some of those. Bray Wyatt turns 36. Ryan Cogley turns 37. Richard Ajoda turns 46. Ken Jennings, 49. Jewel turns 49. Jason Nash, 50. Matt Flynn, 53. Philip Selway, 56. Melissa McBride, 58. Drew Carey, 65. William Barr, 73. And Joan Collins turns 90 today. So there you go. That's some birthdays that are going on for you. Just taking a look around in regards of what is going on. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, well, I have some of those for you. It's National Library Workers Day, National Lucky Penny Day, World Turtle Day, and National Title Track Day. Yes, National Title Track Day. I guess that's something to look at in regards of what we're talking about. Just something to think. Anyways, if you need some whack fact for today, here you go. All babies are colorblind when they're born. Smiling can lower your heart rate and your stress level. Apples are about 25% air. The sting from a killer bee contains less venom than a sting from a regular bee. Dogs sneeze to show that they're play fighting. And goats have accents, just so you know. Some things to think about real quick. Anyways, if you need a random joke for today, I have one of those. When I was a kid, my mom told me that I could be anyone I wanted to be as. As it turns out, though, identity theft is a crime. If you need a phone starter for today, try this. If you could make one rule that everyone had to follow, what would it be? If you need a question for the water cooler, try this. 90% of this year's college freshmen have never used these machines. What are they? Typewriters. So there you go. So anyways, thanks for hanging out, doing the things that you do, and taking a listen to what the hell we have going on. At the top of the hour, I'll be going over to radiobig.fm if you want to come and hang out, or you can stay out on Safety FM and take a listen to what Sheldon Primus has to say with the Safety Consultant Show. No doubt about that in regards to what the hell is going on there, because that's what we do around here. Take a listen to different things and have the information readily available for you. Anyways, if I can leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. A mistake repeated more than once is a decision. Think about that. We've talked about it before, that's for sure. Anyways, thank you for being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener. I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love ya, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.